What's good, YouTubers and YouTubettes? This is JB Sports, back again with another one. The Daily Star out of the UK is reporting that a fight is close to coming to fruition between middleweight contender Chris Eubanks Jr. and welterweight contender Conor Benn. Now, this fight has been rumored for months, but I didn't really take it that serious. I was like, man, why in the hell would Conor Benn fight a middleweight when he got a lot of mouth-watering, appealing matchups in the welterweight division? But when you closely look at the whole situation, Conor Benn ain't got nothing at 147. Nothing appealing, because the welterweight division is run by the PBC. Most of all the big names in the welterweight division are affiliated with the PBC, which is run by Al Heyman. So for Conor Benn to get a fight with any one of those fighters, he would have to get himself in a mandatory position. They're not going to come to no agreement, because Eddie Hearn and the PBC are like oil and water. They're not going to negotiate and come to no kind of terms, because they can't stand each other. There's a history between Eddie Hearn and the PBC, the bigwigs in the PBC. Stephen Espinosa, Al Heyman, Leonard Ellaby. They ain't trying to make nothing happen with Eddie Hearn. So outside of Conor Benn, who's not in a mandatory position right now, he's in the top 5 of every boxing organization. I believe he's in the top 5 of the WBA, WBC, WBA, and IBF, but he's got to get to that number 1 position. And then the fight would have to go to a purse bid, and if Eddie Hearn wins the purse bid, then you will see a Eddie Hearn promoted fighter and a PBC affiliated fighter facing off with each other. Outside of that, they're not going to meet up on a voluntary basis. So with all that being said, his options are limited. My sources was telling me that his next fight will be against Maurice Hooker, but that's not considered a big fight in Conor Benn's eyes. When he was asked about that fight about a month or two ago, he didn't sound too excited about that matchup. He didn't look at that fight as a big fight. So that fight is not a fight that he's looking to take on next. So he is pushing his promoter, unlike AJ. He's pushing his promoter, Eddie Hearn. Hey, man, I ain't trying to fight no Maurice Hooker. Anybody else you trying to line me up with? David Avanesian? I don't want to fight him either. I want a big fight. I want to showcase my skills. People say I ain't fought nobody. People saying I'm living off my dad's name. I want to show and prove. And Eddie Hearn obviously is taking heed to the words that are coming out of Conor Benn's mouth, and he's going to try to make this fight happen. Now, Eddie Hearn, just the other day, I believe it was Saturday at the Kubrat Pulev-Derek Chisora fight, said that Conor Benn versus Chris Eubanks Jr. is not happening. It's fake news. But the Daily Star, if we to believe the report coming out the Daily Star, this fight is very close to coming to fruition. Now, the O2 Arena is the venue. October 8th is the date. So we will see what happens, and we will see what transpires. Now, just like Conor Benn has limited options, don't have a lot of appealing options when you're talking about a big fight, Chris Eubanks Jr., who's promoted by Kaylee Sutherland, doesn't have a lot of options too. I don't know why Chris Eubanks Jr. left the PBC. He had a fight lined up with Jamal Charlo. That would have been a big fight for a world title. He didn't take that fight. He got out of the PBC. He had beat Liam Williams, but put himself in position as the mandatory in the WBO. He could have fought the WBO champion Demetrius Boo Boo Andrade. He didn't fancy that matchup. Now, his promoter is Katie Sutherland. His trainer is Roy Jones Jr. A lot of people saying he's trying to be another Roy Jones Jr., but Roy Jones Jr. fought. He fought the best of the best. He fought James Toney. He fought Bernard Hopkins. You know, he fought Paz Zinza. He fought the best of the best. You know, he fought Felix Trinidad. He fought Joel Kazaki. He fought the best of the best. And up to this point, Chris Eubanks Jr. best opponent has been Billy Joe Saunders. So we will see what happens, and we will see what transpires. But it's a very, very interesting matchup. There's an old saying in boxing: a good big man beats a small good man. Wait, my bad. Let me say that right. A good big man beats a good little man. That's the old saying in boxing. Now, I'm sure that Conor Benn has sparred middleweights, so he probably believes that he has the power to hurt Conor Benn, or at the very least get his respect. But that's the difference between sparring and a real fight, man. Now, I do believe that Conor Benn is the more technical fighter, a little bit more better hand speed. He has the faster hands, let me say it like that. I do believe that Chris Eubanks Jr. is a very good fighter too. He's technically good too, but he gets wild at times. So I think Conor Benn will be looking to get inside those points when he's throwing those wild looping shots to get inside, to get off his combinations. He's going to definitely have to get close to Chris Eubanks Jr. He cannot beat Chris Eubanks Jr. on the outside, I don't think. Outside of him jumping in with combinations and jumping back out, I don't think he'll be able to make a full-time living fighting Chris Eubanks Jr. on the outside due to the fact that he's the smaller man and he has the shorter reach. So we will see what happens and we will see what transpires. But this fight is for nostalgia. This fight is for recreating history because it's their dad's fault this past decade, a decade ago, when Nigel Benn took on Chris Eubanks Sr. in one of the biggest fights in UK history. So we will see what happens and we will see what transpires. Eddie Hearn, if he's able to pull this off, which might not be what he really want to do, but he did promise his prized young contender a big fight, and he's got to deliver on them promises. If not, Conor Benn might be looking at him side-eye saying, man, you promised me a big fight, now you got me in here with Maurice Hooker. This is not a big fight. So as soon as my contract is up, I might be looking to go into another direction. So he got to keep his fighters happy at the end of the day, but this is something we haven't seen out of Anthony Joshua because he basically does what Eddie Hearn tells him to do. Eddie Hearn tells him who, when, and where to fight, and AJ nods his head in agreement. So we will see what happens, and we will see what transpires. Conor Benn seems to be not of that same makeup. He like, look here, man, I don't want to fight no Maurice Hooker. I don't want to fight no David Avanesian. I want a big fight. If I can't get a big fight at 147, give me the biggest name out there. And the biggest name out there that can be made is Chris Eubanks Jr. due to the fact that their dad's fought in a big fight and due to the fact that it'll be a huge fight. And it seems to be getting lined up for October 8th. And I definitely think this fight will be on the Zone pay-per-view. Eddie Hearn said that pay-per-view was dead, but look at what he's done with Canelo and Bill. But that fight was on pay-per-view, and this fight looks to be heading down the same road. So we will see what happens. Excuse me. And we will see what transpires. Very, very interesting matchup. Very, very interesting matchup. Now, Liam Smith came out and told Chris Eubanks Jr., I believe it was just yesterday, said, look here, man, kill that noise about fighting Conor Benn. You need to be fighting me, man. I'm fighting my last fight at 154. It wouldn't be no problem me moving up 6 pounds to fight you at 160. You got a guy coming up from 147 to fight you at 156, and he's a smaller welterweight at that. He's actually a natural 140-pounder. Look at the guys that he's fought previously. He fought Adrian Granados, another 140-pounders, naturally. He fought, he was trying to fight Jose Ramirez, who's fighting at 140. So he's a guy that's not a big welterweight, and you got him moving up to 156, but he's got to come up 9 pounds. You got to drop 4 pounds. Maybe he gets weight drained off them 4 pounds. Who knows? Because Chris Eubanks Jr. has fought as high as 168, I believe. He fought 168 a couple years ago when he fought, what's our boy name, the other UK fighter that fought? He beat him in a grudge match. I believe that fight was at 168. So he's has fight at 168, so I'm sure he's probably going to hire a nutritionist to get down in weight properly. And if that's the case, he will have a huge advantage on fight night because he'll be able to rehydrate back up to, he'll be coming into the ring probably as a light heavyweight. You know what I'm saying? He'll be coming in at close to a light heavyweight. Anything over 168, you can fight a light heavyweight and fight in the light heavyweight division. So he'll be coming in on fight night as a light heavyweight. It'll be interesting to see where the Conor Benn come in. If I'm Conor Benn, I wouldn't be trying to make 156. I just try to come in, 149, 150, 151 because his advantage is speed. His advantage is being the younger, fresher fighter. And he's got to use all that to his advantage. So I wouldn't be trying to come in and make 156 and lose my speed and carrying on that extra weight, which could affect my stamina. And it'll be very, very interesting, man, because can Conor Benn take Chris Eubanks Jr.'s power? Chris Eubanks Jr. is a very good puncher. I'm not saying he's a knockout artist or a guy that has a degree in the one-hitter quitter, but he's a very, very, very good puncher. And Conor Benn has never been hurt before, but who has he fought that had the power to hurt him? Again, he's been fighting 140-pounders in his recent fights. Adrian Granados, Chris Van Heerden, who's not a big puncher at 147. They was trying to line up Jose Ramirez, who's not a big puncher at 140. He's a volume puncher, but I doubt if he would have been a problem at 147 as far as having to watch out for his power. So it'll be very, very interesting to see, can he take Chris Eubanks' power? That'll be a question that'll be asked, it will be answered when those two guys fight. So we will see what happens, and we will see what transpires. Follow me on Facebook, Gerard.Briscoe.3551. Follow me on Instagram, 9707 Gerard. Like, share, and subscribe to JB Sports. The man, the myth, the legend. And I holla.